Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Today in this episode, we are going to talk about the lie of letting go. What does that mean? That simply means how people force you to move on and let go, and how that keeps you stuck in your recovery process. Because letting go of what happened in the narcissistic relationship is not so easy. So that is what we're going to talk about thoroughly in today's episode. If this topic is interesting to you and it sounds intriguing, please make sure to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button and push the bell icon to stay updated with everything latest that I post over here. Now, let's first look at what people suggest and what do they tell you to do. When you talk with a friend about your narcissistic relationship and what you survived in there, the ultimate advice is you should let go. Forget what happened in the past and focus on your future. There is no point in thinking about what they did to you or talking about it. You should move on and find someone else to be with. Why are you still talking about them? They don't deserve your time. Their intention is positive. They are coming from a positive place, from a place of concern. But the unfortunate thing here is they are not informed about narcissistic abuse. Probably they do not know how trauma impacts you. Trauma is not a cognitive process. Therefore, you cannot make cognitive decisions about trauma, what you should do with trauma or what can be done with trauma. Simply put, you cannot just say, okay, I'm letting go of the narcissist. I'm letting go of the whole experience and then expect your brain to forget everything that you experienced in there. You need to know that the body keeps a score. It's well known by this point that the trauma that you experience in your life is not a psychological process only. It's not a cognitive thing. It is more of a somatic process, more of a somatic phenomena than a cognitive one. You need to know that letting go after narcissistic abuse does not mean forgetting, because I can guarantee you one thing, and I mean it. You will never be able to forget what that person did to you. Remember these words. Why? Because trauma leaves a mark. Well, does that mean you will suffer for the rest of your life? Is this a life sentence? Of course not. It just simply means that a time can come in your life where you will be able to make peace with what happened and you will find your resilience through it. You can make that experience a catalyst to move forward and become the most authentic version possible of yourself. You can use that experience to explore your strengths. You can use that experience to know yourself better, but it cannot be forgotten right away. So it's a lie when you are told, just let go, let go. Letting go is not that easy. You definitely have to go through an intense grieving process when trying to let go and move on after narcissistic abuse. You cannot just feel the things out. Some people even say, just feel them, feel the things that come to you and they will just, release themselves out very naturally. That does not happen. Grieving is a very complicated process, especially when we're talking about narcissistic abuse. Why is it complicated? Because you are struggling with a couple of things. One, trauma bonding. A part of you wants to move on, but the other part is still stuck. You are struggling with cognitive dissonance, the brain fog and the confusion. One part of yours knows that the person is a narcissist. The other part is still struggling to make sense of all the good memories. There is emotional dissonance. One part of you knows how miserable you felt in the relationship. The other part still feels those good feelings you felt with them. So grieving naturally becomes very complex. The sadness is not able to process itself out. It stays stuck between these different trauma layers. So how should you look at the letting go process? First things first, you have to give yourself time and set no time frame for your healing, letting go, or moving on. Just remember that if you have set a month for your healing, it's going to take 8 times more than that. It always happens, because this is trauma. This is one of the worst things a human being can ever experience in their entire lifetime. I don't know if this sounds like an exaggeration, but in my opinion, that is the truth when it comes to understanding surviving narcissistic abuse and how you live with complex trauma. The second thing is you have to do the work. You cannot just forget and move on. That is not possible. It's not just one thing that has happened there. There's a series of events that you have to make peace with and make sense of. You have to work with your traumas. You have to go to trauma therapy. Let me be very specific. You have to work with the body. You have to release the survival stress stuck and stored in your body. You have to work with those memories. You have to see the narcissist for who they are by dissecting these good memories and the good feelings that you have for them. You have to grieve them, and this grieving process also includes grieving a person who is alive, who is walking, breathing, and living on the surface of the earth, but is dead for you. That is one of the most difficult part of it. The third thing that you need to do is you need to forgive yourself. Because back then, when you were with a narcissist, you did not know what you know now. You may accuse yourself of not leaving earlier or staying in the relationship intentionally, but that is not true. You were doing your best. Back then, when you were in the relationship with a narcissist, you were in a constant survival state. You were taking it from moment to moment. You were not aware of the reality of the situation. Because right now, you know it was narcissistic abuse. Back then, you did not. So you need to accept that you did what you could, and you need to see it that way. You need to be compassionate towards yourself, because compassion is what you need the most while trying to heal. In a nutshell, you need to understand that people use this term very loosely because they do not know what letting go actually means, especially in this context. They throw this term around because that is what they have been told by others. Let go, move on, forget. These are the words that we commonly use. But you do not have to take them personally, because if you did, you'll compare yourself with others and then feel stuck. Your letting go process is very unique and unique to you. It cannot be compared with anyone else. So take your time. Be patient, give yourself the space that you need, do the trauma work, work through the grieving process, see the narcissist for who they are, work towards accepting that it happened, and now you have to work on rebuilding your life and take it from there. I hope you found this episode insightful. If you did, please let me know in the comments, drop a like and share this episode with others. I'll talk with you in the next one. Until then, let the healing begin.